Welcome everybody to our show. This is Custom Fab Garage on our channel Octane TV on YouTube. Make sure you go down below and hit that subscribe button, and on top of that, make sure that you hit the notification bell so that you can get all the new content that comes out weekly and even every day. Alright, so here is the factory radio in its glory of back in 2007 looking. Technology didn't change much back in the early 2000s, but here's what it looks like, and we'll kind of show you what it looks like afterwards, but we want to kind of show you a before of what this looks like. And this is the upgraded head unit. It's even got the magical face. Alright, so what we're going to do first is we're going to take these four, I believe they're T15s. We're going to take the lid off. That way we can get to everything all right here. We'll have to pop these caps off, and I believe there's a T15 or T20 in here. I'll go through all that with you as well. Yep, it is a T15. We're going to take all four of these out right here. What you're going to do is you're going to pop these caps off right here. There's one here, and then there's another one right here. Just pop both of those caps off. And then in there should be a T15 as well. Sometimes they might be Phillips, depending on if people have stripped them out. This one looks pretty stripped, but T15 on these as well, as long as nobody stripped them out. And then what I usually do is pull this piece up right here. We can pull the e-brake up, and you can kind of pull this piece out. And then underneath here, you're going to have a 7mm right here. And then I believe there's another one. Yep, right here. There's a 7mm here and a 7mm here. You're going to need to remove both those 7mm. And now that this piece is out, you can kind of finagle this bad boy out over here. Now, the only thing that scares me about him with this car is it's got one of these things on here, so that's going to make it kind of tough. I don't want to break anything, so this piece is kind of out. Now we're going to start pulling up on this. Usually with the manuals and things that are a little bit different, but we're going to pull this whole piece up as one big piece to get the whole thing out. That's what we're going to do next. Turned on the ignition. We've put it into neutral. That way we can kind of get this up, because if it's in drive, it will hit up here, and that way we can start. We've already started pulling up on this in every spot right here. We've got this whole thing loose. Now the hard part about the C6s is usually you have heated seats here that you have to unplug. This you have to unplug. This you have to unplug, this you have to unplug, and this you have to unplug, which will be hard for me to show you on camera. But unplugging these is kind of a pain because they only give you so much room when you pull out. So you're gonna have to unplug here, usually heated seats on both sides, cigarette lighter here, and then traction control. You'll need to unplug all those to remove this piece. Everything you need to take out, you're gonna have to push on this on the bottom here, right like that, to get this out. You're gonna have to take a hook tool and get this out, because this is what causes it to hang up. Over here it's the same situation. You want to push right here, and then back here you can kind of get on it and push right here, and then this will come out. That's what you need to remove to get that whole piece out. Now we're going to take all the 7mm, 3 on each side, and get HVAC and the radio out. What you'll need to unplug from the radio, which is the factory navigation, the antenna, secondary harness here. Here's your main harness here, and then also this little power harness. I'm not sure quite what that goes to. I haven't seen those on too many of these vehicles. It also has a USB right here. There's the USB that runs all the way here to the center console right there. So now we're going to show you how to put everything in. These are all the parts that you're going to get with it. This is for your mic for your Bluetooth, your screws to put into the radio. It does come with its own steering wheel module piece right here, which only works on certain vehicles. This is your RCAs that plug into the back. This is your USB Type-C extension, and this is your nav antenna. You know, usually we never had to run these, but we're gonna see if that comes into a problem with this particular unit. There's your main power plug, and then here's your unit itself. I'm not a big fan of this screen because of this right here, because of the glare. It causes a ton of glare. We'll see what it looks like in this particular car, especially with the Targa top. Here's the back of the radio. You're gonna have your antenna port, your mic port, your iData link, your GPS, and then that's your remote for steering wheel controls. And then that's also probably your RCA plug right here. And then there's your main power plug, and then your XM plug. And then your USB, you only have one, it looks like, on this particular unit. So you have one USB Type-C extension, and that looks like that's it. The rest of this, I believe, is all wireless, so you would only have to use the USB Type-C if you don't want to do wireless. This is the correct kit. The 953304 is the correct kit for the Corvette. The other kit's for a Silverado, so sorry about that. This is the one we're going to use, 953304. All right, so the factory nav antenna for the C6 Corvette, it actually plugs into the back right here in the nav antenna port. So that will plug right into there. That will plug in just like that. We got everything wired up. We did put our dash kit on right here. We put our mounting screws on here. There's the dash kit. We have everything wired up. We have our rear view camera wired up. Basically everything should be good at this particular point, and then we're going to run the USB-C down here because I don't think he's going to use it. He mainly just wants it for wireless, but I'm going to put it down here just in case we have it down here. I can pull this out if he needs it and we can get it, because I don't want to drill a hole going through this way. So everything should be good. Let me mount it in here, make sure everything works, and then we'll go from there. So we got the radio mounted into the dash kit with our screws and everything. So we got this on here. We're gonna go ahead and test everything, make sure it all works, but it looks great. We're just gonna make sure everything works before we put it all back together. Taking this taillight out is a T10 Torx. And then also you're gonna have to unclip it. The T10 is up into there, and then you're gonna have to unclip it right there. And that's we're doing the rear view camera running up to the head unit up there. So here's the backup camera right here. He's ran the wire up through this hole up through here. And then we took out the tail light here, and we are going to run it around through that hole, that grommet, and then run it through that grommet, which runs into here. And then we'll run the wires. I'm hoping, oh, you're riding on the passenger side? Not the driver's side? This radio fits in here really well. So awesome. So in review, the screen quality, this is the 4000, we just did the 6000 as well. The screen quality is pretty good, so for what I can see. When I put out in the sun, that's gonna tell me, so we'll do another video out in the sun. But all the new units, the settings and everything, it comes with a full EQ, which is pretty cool that these actually have that, so you can go to your full EQ on here, which is pretty nice. I mean, these actually do have a lot of features. You can change the background color, the Android Auto is wireless, and the Apple CarPlay. It does only come with one Type-C USB. So there's not a bunch of differences between the 4000 and the 6000, but really for the money, the 4000 is the way to go in my opinion, unless you want the 5-volt pre-outs, because this only has 2-volt pre-outs. So if you want 5-volt pre-outs, I would definitely recommend going to the 6000. It does have a little better screen, but I can't kind of tell the difference, honestly. They both are pretty similar, the way that they work and the responsiveness. The only critique I have, which is kind of hard to see right now because this thing's like freaking out, is this, how it has this indentation here and indentation here. On the older units, they ran them all the way across, and it was more flush, so it looked clean from here all the way across. And this one, they just like notch it and then a big block sticking out going all the way across. It doesn't look terrible, but I think the older pre-existing units look better in my opinion. But that's it. It's nice that you have the hard buttons like the volume and everything on that on down here. So everything about this is really nice. So I would really highly recommend the 4000. We'll do a little more testing with it and give you guys some longevity and things like that. But so far I've seen 0 issues with this head unit. The only complaints that we have is just these little cosmetic things and then the screen quality. Now I'll know more about that when we put it in the sun tomorrow. So once I do that, I'll post that in this video as well. So in this particular unit, we did get the volume to work. So the volume does work. I think this one goes to something different. It goes to the Android Auto. Boom, that's cool. It pops up the Android Auto. And then here I think is the mute. Yep. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what this one does. Oh, it's changing the tracks. That's pretty cool. So it does different things than what it says on here, but the volume is the main thing that works. So that's what I'm mainly concerned with right there. So we did get the steering wheel controls and everything to work. We did put the Bluetooth mic down here. And the main reason I put the Bluetooth mic here is because if you put it up on the A-pillar and you take the top off or roll the window down like this, the wind comes in and hits it. So down here, it's kind of stealth. I tested it, it sounds great. So that's where we put that. We used the factory navigation antenna to hook this up. We used the metric kit right here, which looks really clean. So I want to show you guys what it looks like with this type of screen, and this is with the back window is tinted. This is what I'm talking about with the glare real bad. Now, right now I have the windows rolled up. So here's what it's going to be like with the windows rolled down. You can still see it. It's good. It puts a big huge white glare on it, but it's not like terrible. It's actually not as bad as in other vehicles, but this vehicle also has window tint on it. The hard part is what happens is if you don't have any window tint on this back part here, it's going to come in and glare really bad on this screen. If you can see the white part of it, you see any kind of light refracts off of this screen. So that's my only complaint and gripe about this unit, is just that part right there, the light reflecting and it turning white. And when you look down here, it's clear. When you go back up here, you get that big huge white glob. I don't know what that is. I don't know why the screen is like that, because it's more of a matte or the screen that they're using, but that's my only complaint. Other than that, head unit is absolutely amazing. So if you've got a car with no window tint, I would be kind of cautious on this unit and go to the 6000, only just because this car does have window tint on it and it's black in here, like it's dark, and this is still, you still get this from the light. So I just want to let you guys know that.